I'm like ready, but not ready. Like, oh, I'm so excited though. Caleb's Myth is in a couple days from now, probably, if you're watching this video. So after 4 fucking months of not making a video, I decided to lock myself up and pick up the pen to do some Caleb Myth predictions. And this is what I came up with. There's probably no way I get it right anyway, just because I'm going to be expecting the unexpected. You know, let's get into it. Caleb design number 1. The quantum machine, or quantum weapon. Other names I thought of was instrument of desolation, or the singularity engine. I really wanted to revisit Caleb's sci-fi themes because, let's be honest, X02 is my goat, but I really feel that the lore can expand on his sci-fi origins just because he is kind of the only love interest that is carrying the sci-fi genre aesthetically in Love and Deepspace, and I wanted to just see more of that just because this is supposed to be a sci-fi fantasy story. Jesus, how many times can you say sci-fi fantasy themes in one sentence? But whatever. So every time Caleb says that he and MC are from the same source, it always makes me think about before they became sentient human beings, they were probably just entities in this primordial soup that is beyond the physical dimension, and they were summoned by ill-intended people to be exploited and used for their powers. So although this version seems like a rehash of X02, I would like to believe that it is an elevated version of him from what we've seen in the newest myths so far. Like, everyone is kind of a higher version of what they once were in their first generation myths. So my idea of this version of Caleb was trying to align with that continuity. I wanted to lean into Caleb's origins being that of almost like a 4th dimensional being, or just someone that does not have magical origins that are tied to fate and destiny in a way that is mythological or religious aligning. Basically opposite to a god, but still a force of supernatural physics. And instead of being a weapon for the state or the empire, he is a weapon for the higher powers that be. An instrument of the gods forced to enforce reality itself, making sure timelines and reality obey the natural order of things. So with this design, I used fighter planes and drones and sci-fi tech and machinery to build this design. And the design was actually heavily inspired by Black Rock Shooter's character model in Black Rock Shooter the game. Yeah, the plane wings on the side of the hips kind of just spoke to me. I really like them, so I wanted to incorporate them in some way. And incorporating black hole imagery and motifs everywhere kind of just made sense. It's a little on the nose, but it gets the point across, right? And to add more onto his function in his myth, he acts more as, instead of a person that prevents destruction, he is a tool for destruction, obviously. Second to MC, because we all know that she is the ultimate destroyer. I tried to look back at all of his R1 multi-banner costumes for inspiration, and instead of gold, I decided to go with silver because it suited him more. But I have a strong feeling that he will be portrayed in a lot of gold and green, just a feeling. And white as well. I think that if this were to be a real companion, what would set him apart from X02 is if he actually kills his creators. The quantum weapon that was used to enforce fate will point its blade straight back at the people who created him, and in doing so, he will find freedom. However, I imagine because it is a myth, his freedom will be very short-lived, and he will not be able to spend the rest of his life with MC because they will die anyway. Or something like that, you know? I really need to get my coloring game on, that's a video for another time. But you're gonna see a lot of this whatever this is, so yeah, bear with me, because it is prevalent in all of these designs. My next myth idea consists of Caleb being an angel or a seraphim of some sort. Being an angel really fits into Caleb's lore nicely because angels have no free will of their own. They are servants. They carry out God's will and obey his orders. And obviously, Caleb is not in alignment with the will of the people that control him, but he does it anyway to protect MC. Maybe this myth we will get a true taste of what Caleb is like when he rebels against his oppressors, because he does exactly that as master of Xiu-Mai Hollow. It would be interesting if we see him again in this myth, being a Trojan horse forced to assimilate into a system that is imprisoning both him and MC, aligning himself with the enemy so he can destroy it from within, which is what he's doing in the main story. Titles I thought of for this version of Caleb is Angel of the Wasteland or Angel of the Battlefield, Agent of Rebellion, Battle Angel of Exile, and Vassal of Destruction. I wanted to continue the use of artificial wings in his battle companions. So for this version, like the Seraphim, he has 6 wings, but they are metal weapons that he floats them around using his evil to destroy things. I modeled his halo to this shape of a sundog because I think it's really funny that sundog exists and Caleb also exists. Like, they should exist together, you know? Fortunately, though, I didn't do the actual shape of the sundog, so now we're just gonna be left with whatever we have here. Just kidding, I fixed it in the end, so you're gonna see it in the end. I would like to imagine that the twin theme of Caleb and MC would be shown in some way. And what way to make it any more obvious than having identical blades? If MC does get a claymore for this myth, I really hope that she has one that is exactly like Caleb's. A huge blade, originally whole but was split into 2. Same source vibes, you get it. As for the other metal embellishments, I leaned heavily into gold because gold is usually associated with paradise and heaven and God and holiness, and the colors I used are heavily taken from his R1 outfit from Imperial Throne Song. Now, I have no idea if they're going to give him another artificial right arm, but I did it anyway in this design because I feel like the asymmetry really adds to his themes of rebellion. If symmetry is in alignment with the world order, then asymmetry is the opposite of that. I tried to make the embellishments and the gold seem like snaking vines that wrap around his body. So we'll see if his actual myth utilizes any of that kind of imagery. It's definitely not a coincidence that he always is tied to themes of paradise, wasteland, Exodus. Like, it really does seem to point towards some biblical angel myth, right? But then again, I'm just going off of vibes, and I'm doing this for fun, so just don't take me too seriously. I was really curious how Infold would incorporate Caleb's leopard theme. Like, they might make him into a werewolf too. Or like a were-leopard, because he's described as a beast in lucid dreams. So I decided to incorporate the leopard theme into this design by putting leopard-esque tattoos all over his body. Leopard angel is definitely a unique combination, so we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. I don't know. All I can literally go off of is the vibes, and this is the vibe that I was able to make up. This one was definitely a struggle. I really wanted him to look battle-ready and defiant, yet still maintaining an air of holiness and divinity. Every time I look at my stuff, I just always think about how I need to do this, and that, but it's just... I'll just keep practicing, I guess. Whatever. Moving on. So my last idea for a Caleb myth is titled, I guess, First Sinner of Paradise, Keeper of the Garden, Guardian of Paradise, or Heaven's Defender. This one really ties heavily into, I guess, Adam and Eve territory, except with a little bit of a twist. Think Garden of Eden, but with more Buddhist imagery. Now, this idea came about from Caleb's 2 cards, Clear Day Return and Floating Flora Letter. It really made me think about the lotus eaters from Greek mythology and how this narcotic lotus that they eat makes them forget everything about who they are and makes them stay trapped on this island. The parallels between the lotus eaters and the people in Skyhaven that have the Taurian ship, like, I see the connection, especially when you take into account like the Saibazin drug and the use of poisons and medicine in Clear Day Return, and how Caleb uses medicine and poison to heal people, but it also makes them forget who they are at the same time. So it would be really cool if we got a Lotus Eater myth of some sort. I would imagine that MC would be in a constant state of forgetfulness and fog-brained due to the drugs and the higher forces that exploit her, that they can keep her in control or use her for whatever purpose that they want. And where Buddhism ties into all of this is, I would imagine that Caleb would be the first to essentially awaken and open his eyes to the things that are going on around him, and therefore his role in the story would mirror that of a bodhisattva. He will be awakened, he is willing to escape, but he will not escape unless he can also free MC from the same shackles that he broke out of, that they can escape together. The pattern that I see throughout Caleb's cards is the concept of being lucid, right? And I feel like enlightenment is the ultimate stage of lucidity. The only difference between an actual bodhisattva and Caleb in this case is he is only trying to help one person achieve enlightenment. And that person is none other than MC, and MC alone. So my idea for this myth is that Caleb and MC do live in paradise. MC is ignorant to the higher powers that restrain and control her, but she still gets to live with Caleb and be happy, and they are both on the same boat. However, eventually, Caleb figures out how to break the mental shackles of this land that imprisons them and breaks the ultimate law of the land. They defy their creators by falling in love and trying to escape paradise. It's either that or they fall in love and then get kicked out of paradise. Regardless, they will no longer be there. Or will they be allowed to stay there? And then the paradise turns into ruins and becomes a broken world because of their decisions. Now, I don't know if Caleb's new myth will follow the pattern of them both dying together, but I would imagine that he might be the only one left by the end of the myth, and with MC potentially dying before him, he might fall into a state of complete ruin, his mind, body, and soul just lost to the powers that be. With no one to awaken him again and save his soul, he will forever be damned to, I guess, be exploited by whoever is exploiting him. Which, if I'm being completely honest, what's a fate worse than death? It's being separated, right? And just completely forgetting who you are as a person while still living in your body, but as a shell of your former self. Akin to puppeteering an empty husk. With this design, the colors I used were based off of his Clear Day Return outfit color scheme, and of course with that I added snake imagery and motifs. And the 6 floating blades are meant to resemble the petals of a lotus. Oh, and don't forget about the tattoos, I guess. I should have done more, but you know what? It's okay. And those are all of my designs for Caleb myths. I really doubt that any of this may or may not be used in his new one, but honestly, I don't care. I was here to have fun and just draw, I guess. At the end of the day, it's Inful's decision to do whatever they want, so and I'm still gonna pull for it. That being said, I did actually work on other myth predictions before Caleb's. Unfortunately, I could not get those videos out before their myths came out, so I guess we're just gonna work backwards. A couple months back, I did work on Silas's myth prediction, and then the video came out, and then I gave up, and it's whatever. Life happens, and the world doesn't stop, even if your life goes to shit. So that's all to say. Thank you so much for watching my video. My 22 subscribers, I see you, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.